All right, guys, this is long overdue, but let's talk about some big fight news. I realized I hadn't come out with a video talking about these certain fights yet, but there have been four big fights announced that I wanted to talk about today. It's really shaping up. Like, December's going to be a big month for welterweights. January starts big for light heavyweights, and we're going to break down a lot of these fights. There's a big event for the middleweights coming up, and there's been some flirting with some events going on in Saudi Arabia. Once they get confirmed, I'll do a video on that as well. But on February 1st, I believe, the UFC is going to Saudi Arabia. It's either the 1st or the 15th. I don't really know off the top of my head right now, but we'll get there. Don't worry. But let's talk about some of these fights that were made. Enough of that babbling. I want to talk about Jiri Prochazka, Jamal Hill first, because this fight was announced a couple days ago, 3 days ago here. This is a fight that I've wanted to see for a very long time now. It seems that I'm one of the only ones these days because you know, the MMA fan base can be a little brutal, I get it. I'm a big Jamal Hill guy. I'm a really big Jiri Prochazka guy too, don't get me wrong. Love his fight style. Every fight he's in is fun. He's electric. I'm a big Jamal Hill fan as well. I think he's one of the most entertaining guys at fighting. Like, he lays people out flat. Or, like, yeah, he got knocked out by Alex Pereira, but the guy was also coming off of a major layoff, major injury. And Jamal Hill kind of does that thing where he uses his right hand as a rangefinder a lot, and it doesn't really come back to home base, so he's very susceptible to that left hook. Here he's not really hitting him with a technical left hook, I don't think. And I am going to say, I do think Jamal Hill's going to win this fight, and he's going to win it by knockout in the second round. I think we're going to see something where it's very measured to start. Jamal Hill's being very measured, kicking the inside leg of Jiri, and he's landing it because Jiri doesn't like to check, nor does he try and check calf kicks, which I think is going to be a big advantage for Jamal Hill here. I think he's going to blast the inside leg of Jiri Prochazka a lot, but I also think he's going to walk Jiri onto like a step-in elbow and to a big left hand. Jamal likes to stand in that southpaw stance, and he likes to kind of lure you into that big shot and that left-hand counter. And I think Jiri's kind of the perfect matchup for him to do it. Now, Jiri can get real crazy, make this insanely dirty of a fight, and I would be interested to see how Jamal Hill deals with someone that's not as technical, because everyone he's fought has kind of tried to fight his fight in the sense that, like, they're going to keep it standing, it's going to be very technical, nothing too sloppy. Like, Glover tried to mix in some wrestling and stuff, but he was more getting in the pocket and winging hooks. Where Jiri kind of gets crazy is, like, he'll just dip, shovel, uppercut, elbow, spin, like, do a bunch of weird shit that I think could be tricky for Jamal Hill to figure out early, and there might be moments where he gets tagged and Yuri's just going in big time for a finish, but that's where I can see Jamal Hill just biting down on the mouthpiece, stepping in with a left hand, falling with a right hook, dropping Jiri. The other thing I want to say is, while Jiri is a warrior, toughest dude that you can find, he did get knocked out brutally by Alex Pereira just 6 months prior to this. So take that as you will, or 6.5 months. So again, this isn't a bad amount of time that he took off, but he's going from against one of the most dangerous power punchers in the sport, if not the most, not named Tom Aspinall, to Jamal Hill, another guy in this division that I think has, other than Alex Pereira, like, I do think pound for pound power, I'm going to say it, dude, I think Jamal has the most powerful punch in this division, not named Alex Pereira, unless I'm not thinking of someone else, because I'm going through, like, Khalil Roundtree has some pop, but he doesn't have the one punch pop that I think Jamal Hill has. Jiri doesn't have the one punch pop that Jamal Hill has, even though Jiri has pop. Jan Blachowicz doesn't have that one punch pop really anymore. Reyes doesn't. Obviously, Anthony Smith, on paper does, but, like, we're not talking about on paper. You're walking into the cage. Like Volkan Ozdemir, maybe. He's got pop in the hands. He struggles to land it more than Jamal Hill does. Carlos Olberg's Carlos Olberg's a tough matchup for Jamal Hill because of that left hook that he has. I think he could catch Jamal Hill, but Jiri Prochazka, I don't think he's gonna be out there measuring the left hook to find it on Jamal Hill. I think he's going to start to try and throw crazy shit, and that's where Jamal Hill is going to be able to slow it down, keep it measured, really beat up the legs of Jiri Prochazka, and then end up landing the big shot to knock him out in round 2. I don't want to see either guy lose. I know everyone other than me wants to see Jamal Hill lose, because you guys don't really understand that the guy's just trying to promote a fight. And, when you have a competitor in Alex Pereira, who, while he is the most dangerous man in the division, can't speak English, he's not really good at building up the fight other than having the fans chant Chama for him. Jamal Hill's trying to make something out of that fight. He made it interesting. He made it kind of bad blood, and I respect the hell out of that dude. The guy's trying to sell. He knows what he's trying to do. I mean, he's a beast. I'm a big Jamal Hill guy, so it is what it is. He lost to Pereira. Who the fuck hasn't? Like, literally, Izzy hasn't. Oh, wait, he has. Just because he beat Alex doesn't mean he didn't lose to him too, guys. So I'm going to give Jamal Hill the edge in this fight. I think this is going to be sick. This is like a really good co-main event. I actually don't think it's 5 rounds. Look at this comment from 1111 looking for the bait. Both are boring. One is a deluded samurai. The other is Uncle Fester. Boring contenders, fake champions. So you can tell that guy just joined the sport the second Alex Pereira came into it. Probably like once he knocked out Izzy. He probably didn't even know who he was until he knocked out Izzy, just saying. Or he's just trolling and baiting. But yeah, like I'm seeing a lot like rooting for Jiri. You know you're going to see that. Yuri's a fan favorite. He's one of my favorites as well. I happen to be a Jamal Hill guy at the same time. So really excited for this fight. Hate that someone has to lose. I do think it's going to be Jiri. And this is going to be one of those things where like, I think Jiri is the light heavyweight Petr Yan. Not in the sense of technique and skill, but in the sense of the way the fans love him. The 3-fight loss streak I think he's about to go on right now, or it's going to be a 2-fight loss streak, but he also lost to Pereira before it when he had the Rakic match in the middle, and he was getting his ass beat by Rakic. He out-chromosomed Rakic, I'm going to say. Like, I don't know how to say that. Maybe by like 1 extra. But, I can just see this being one of those fights where like he just got knocked out by Alex. Now he got knocked out by Jamal. Damn, it like sucks to see Jiri this way. And then he takes the 8 months off, goes down to a middleweight, and we get to rebuild him up. And he gets a lower level middleweight competitor, gets a win, then gets like an Izzy at middleweight, gets another win. And now all of a sudden we're back on the the Jiri Prochazka's going for the title train. And like, tell me Jiri Prochazka versus Khamzat Chimaev would not be a fucking sick fight to watch. Yes, I do think Khamzat can get him down and submit him and probably will. But Jiri might be just crazy enough to catch Khamzat early and make this a very interesting fight. He also might be big enough to kind of make it so Khamzat has a little bit of a tougher time than he's had against other opponents. So, while I love Jiri Prochazka, I also love Jamal Hill. I don't know if this is 5 rounds, honestly. Someone commented this needs to be a 5-rounder. Let's see what they said. Why I think round 1 is enough for somebody to go to sleep. That's fair. That is really fair, actually. I think it's going to be a 3-rounder. Would be a sick co-main event. If they do 2 title fights, it'll be the feature fight. So I think it's going to be Islam and Arman as the main event for this card. They might throw like one of the chick title fights on it, like a Zhang Wei Li fight out of nowhere. We'll see, but I think this is going to be a absolutely sick fight on the card. It's going to be one to watch. Someone's probably going out cold. I think it's going to be Jiri, but we're going to move on to the welterweight division. As you guys already know, we have Joaquin Buckley and Colby Covington here. We got Ian Gary and Shavkat Rakhmonov here. We're going to talk about Ian Gary and Shavkat first. This is a number 1 contenders fight. This is not for an interim belt. I respect that. I don't think we need an interim belt here. I think this makes a lot of sense in the world. You have 2 guys that are undefeated. We never see, at this high level in MMA, we never see 2 undefeated guys going at it. This is going to be 5 rounds, so we finally get to see what each of these guys look like in a 5-rounder, because we haven't seen that yet. And while they're both top-ranked guys, they've kind of fought the same guys to get there. You know what I mean? Shavkat beat Neil Magny very impressively. Ian Gary beat Neil Magny very impressively. Shavkat beat Jeff Neal in a fucking battle. Don't want to call it impressive. Like, it's impressive. We found out a lot about Shavkat in that fight, that he can stand in there and throw with the best. He is tough as rocks, and he can get the finish at any moment that he needs it, even against a tough guy like Jeff Neal. Ian Gary beat Jeff Neal, kind of, in a really stinky fight, but those are 2 names that don't necessarily... They're not names that should get you a title shot, but here we are. We found these guys in the spotlight. I know that Ian Gary has another win over MVP, which is kind of like Shavkat Rakhmonov beating Wonderboy. Shavkat's just won more impressively in all these fights to me than Ian Gary has. So there's that. Shavkat also has all finishes. But Ian Gary is also undefeated. Ian Gary also is a very good fighter. And whoever wins this fight this is like whoever's on each other's resume, if Shavkat beats Ian Gary, having an undefeated Ian Gary on your resume with the other guys he have beaten, that makes it really worthy of a title shot. If Ian Gary beats Shavkat, having Shavkat on your resume, an undefeated Shavkat on your resume, with all the other guys that you've beaten, that is worthy of a title shot. So this is a true number one contenders fight. I'm glad we got to see this because it just felt like there was going to be a little bit of a backlog in this division with Belal being champ, and you're like, who does he really fight next? Who's the one that's really done something to totally deserve it? Obviously, Usman's not getting it off of a bunch of losses, even though people really wanted to see that. And there was a point in time where I did too. I actually think it would be a really good competitive fight. I'm not in the business of like wanting to give these guys title fights coming off of a bunch of losses. So what this has done is actually help move the division along, because now we get Gary versus Shavkat. We're probably going to get like a JDM versus Leon, or a Sean Brady versus Leon, or a JDM versus Usman, something like that. And we also have Colby versus Joaquin Buckley. Colby's fucking active again and saving a card, and we'll get to that in a minute. But I'm going to pick Shavkat to win this fight. I think it's going to be really difficult, and I can even see him dropping the first round or two based off of like the activity from Ian Gary and the ability of Ian Gary to kind of avoid the craziness that Shavkat wants to bring. But ultimately, I think there's going to be moments where Shavkat gets a hold of Ian Gary in the clinch and starts blasting knees to the body that, when you're on that vegan diet like Ian Gary is, your body's not really going to be able to take the shots that Shavkat's giving out, just saying that. I also think Ian Gary has a pea head and can get knocked out really easily. I'm just kind of waiting for it to happen. And I think Shavkat's going to be the guy to do it. Do you remember a while back they were talking about stories in the gym about how Ian Gary got slept by somebody, but we don't really know who. Ha ha ha. And everyone was kind of alluding that it was Shavkat. Now, I've done my thing of shitting on cuckboy Ian Gary, but what I will say, taking this fight on shorter notice, while it's a great opportunity for him, tons of respect for Ian Gary taking this fight. This is a do-or-die fight for him. He could have stayed and waited and fought his Joaquin Buckley fight and been, you know what, I want to fight for the title now that I beat Joaquin Buckley, mate. It started Irish and it got Australian, so that was a tough impression, but I find myself doing that a lot. But anyway, respect to Ian Gary for taking this fight. This is a very, very difficult fight for him. He is a heavy underdog. I don't doubt that he thinks he can do it. And I don't doubt that there's like a 30% chance that he can, but I really don't know that I give it more than a 30% chance. I don't think he gets this fight done by finish. He could land some really good low kicks on Shavkat early, which really makes this fight interesting and dicey, but I don't think he's knocking out Shavkat with the hands. He's going to have to catch him with a kick or just dance outside the whole time and hope that Shavkat's unable to get to him. Shavkat just has more ways to win here for me. I think he can get Ian Gary to the ground, and I think he can choke him out easily. I think he can finish Gary with power, and I also think that he has like decent pace, and Shavkat can like take a beating better than Ian Gary can, I bet. We saw him like go to war with Jeff Neal and come out the other side the victor with a finish. Not many people get into scraps like that with Jeff Neal and live to tell the tale. Ian Gary, when he fought Jeff Neal, was very boring. He had Jeff Neal like pushing him against the cage, and Jeff Neal, that's the other thing I want to talk about that I didn't think about till right now, is Jeff Neal had success with putting Ian Gary against the cage. He just didn't do anything when he got Ian Gary against the cage. Shavkat's not that guy. He's going to get Ian Gary against the cage, and he's going to blast knees to the body and spam elbows up top that are really going to hurt Ian Gary. And I think he finds his way to a finish in round 3 after dropping the first round and a half. You see his pressure start to get to Ian Gary, and he's starting to land shots. Ian Gary isn't liking it, and it's just inevitable at that point that Shavkat's going to get a finish. I think he's going to get a TKO in round 3, something nasty in the clinch, like landing a really good knee to the body in the clinch, followed up by an elbow over the top that just sits Ian Gary down, and he just lands a couple of punches against the fence to really finish it off. I'm going to go with Shavkat to win this fight by a round 3 finish. We'll see if anything changes when I do the official predictions in like a week and a half. But I'm going to get edged with Shavkat Rakhmonov. Pause. Edging. I know edging's a big thing for Ian Gary when he's sitting in the chair in the corner, but that's not what I meant, guys. No, in all seriousness, respect to Ian Gary for taking this fight, really, because I give the guy a fucking hard time all the time because I just don't agree with some of his life decisions. But you know what? It's his life decisions. Who am I going to sit here and act like a liberal, like he can't do what he wants? Good for Ian Gary taking this fight. Much respect to him. I think Shavkat's a really tough matchup for him. I think Shavkat's a really tough matchup for a lot of people until we see someone lay the groundwork on how to get it done. And dare I say, I think Bilal's the guy to beat Shavkat Rakhmonov. Some of you might not like that, but I do think Bilal might be the kind of guy to do it. I think JDM could be one of the guys to do it. I don't know that Ian Gary is the guy, but all respect for him taking the fight. This is huge because it opens up the welterweight division to now have Colby Covington versus Joaquin Buckley. Now, I'm going to say this. Respect to Colby for taking this fight. Respect. Short notice. Gets to do it in his home state of Florida. I don't know if Colby's got it anymore. Now, I know he had a broken foot against Leon Edwards. Leon Edwards just kind of makes every fight boring anyway, man. And this guy commented, this makes a lot of sense right here. Colby is fighting on a fight night and not a pay-per-view. The fall off is crazy. Like, it is kind of crazy to think that, but dude, the guy's coming off like a boring performance against Masvidal where he won dominantly, but it was boring. He lost the most boring fight of an undeserved title fight to Leon Edwards. Didn't like that. He had 2 losses to Usman, one of which could have been a draw. Could have, but I still give it to Usman. I mean, Colby, people forget, man. People forget. Colby was like one of the best in the sport. He could have been in like the top, he might be a top 3, top 4 welterweight of all time. I actually put Bilal up there now. I'm not going to lie. Bilal's a top 3 welterweight of all time. I'll just say it. Look at his resume. Doesn't always do it so impressively, but like the Sean Brady win was fucking sick. That was a great fight, and he won by finish against Sean Brady, who no one else can beat. Just saying. No one else can fucking find a way to beat Sean Brady except for Bilal. But Colby Covington stepping up, taking this fight against a young, hungry Joaquin Buckley who is on a big win streak and has a lot of momentum. Big respect to him. Now, I do think that Joaquin Buckley's going to find himself a KO in round 3, maybe round 4. If Joaquin Buckley had a shit gas tank, I'd say Colby's going to come on late in this fight and he's going to end up getting a finish, maybe a rear naked choke. Nah, dude, Joaquin Buckley's got legit-ass cardio. His cardio is legit as fuck. He's super active. He's super in shape. He has great power. He's fast. And he has like a different kind of technique where he does like the Mike Tyson where he like wiggles his way in to like throw crazy combos. And dude, when he lands, like he hurts you bad. Like, he hurts you real bad. Like, he beat up on Nursultan Ruzaboyev, who everyone was going, this dude is a problem in the division, man. He knocked out Wonderboy after losing, like, he was losing the fight, or it was 1-1 maybe, but then he got caught with a head kick, ate it like a fucking Tic Tac, and then just marched forward and knocked out Wonderboy. Sick KO. Sick KO. I think that he has the power to knock out Colby Covington, and Colby Covington, again, he's getting older. He's taking some damage now in his career. He doesn't have the momentum that he usually has when he goes on these winning streaks, so I think Joaquin Buckley's going to get it done. I think there's moments where Colby can look good early. I think Guru called this he called this, or maybe it was Bedtime. One of them related this to being like kind of like the Usman fight, except that Usman's got like that technical jab, and Joaquin Buckley's just going to move his head a little bit better, get on the inside and land spammy hooks, which I think is going to be what catches Colby. I think you're just going to see Colby get discouraged when he has trouble getting this. He may have a moment where he gets his fight to the ground. I don't think he's able to do anything with it because Joaquin Buckley's very explosive. He's compact. He's shorter, so he's low to the ground. I think he's able to stuff takedowns pretty well. If Colby can get to the back and drag him down, that's going to be the way to do it, I believe. But I think Joaquin Buckley's really strong, really sturdy, a really tough guy to take down, and I think Joaquin Buckley is a stud. I think he's really good at fighting, guys. I think he's really fucking good at fighting, and I think every time he steps in this octagon, he gets better and better and better and better. Now, I don't know what the odds are for this fight. I'm assuming Joaquin Buckley's going to be a slight favorite. I like those odds. If it gets to like a Joaquin Buckley minus like 270 or more, I don't want to bet on it. I'll still take Buckley, but Colby at big underdog odds is not a bad play to look at. Because it's still Colby Covington, but I just don't think Colby at this point in his career is going to be able to put on the crazy amount of volume that we're used to seeing when he fought like Usman and Woodley, and like I don't think he's going to put the pace on Joaquin Buckley once he realizes he's struggling and maybe getting tagged going in, and his shots are getting out sprawled, and I think he's going to have a really tough fight on his hands with Joaquin Buckley here, and I'm going to give the edge to Joaquin Buckley, but respect to Colby for taking the fight, respect for Joaquin Buckley for saying yes to literally anybody. This guy says yes to anybody. You give me a new opponent, that's fine, brother, I'm going to take it. New Manza is the fucking man, dude. Go follow his Instagram. New Manza is the fucking man. Yeah, I'm going to show you right here. New Manza, man. He's that guy, bro. He's funny as shit. First of all, he's funny as shit on Instagram. He's one of the boys. And I know you might have not liked the McGregor call-out, but he had you yapping his name for a long time, everyone. So he knew what he was doing. Smart guy, really good fighter, personable, likable. I think he might end up talking to Guru before this fight, too. That would be sweet. Because I love watching those interviewers, Guru put on like an interview with these guys, because you get to see a different side. You got to see the fun and the brash side of Aspinall. This is Guru's one of the guys that really helped Moicano become prevalent. Obviously Moicano did it himself, but like when you get the Guru channel on your side, when you get the fucking the Beanie Club on your side, like, you got some power, man. You kind of got some power. So all the respect in the world to Colby for taking this fight. All the respect in the world for Joaquin Buckley to saying yes. I'm super excited. I think this is going to be a great fight, but I am going to give the edge to Joaquin Buckley here. And what this does is it really sets up the welterweight division. I'm going to go to the UFC rankings right now. And with you guys, let's just make sure you can kind of see. So this is what we're going to look at right here. Leon Edwards just never fights, so it is what it is. Bilal's going to have to sit out and wait for the winner of this Shavkat versus Ian Gary. Okay, so the winner of that fight is going to get the shot at Bilal. It is what it is. Leon Edwards has got to fight somebody. Something tells me we're getting Leon Edwards versus Sean Brady, because I think Dana's realizing that people don't really fucking care about Leon Edwards. Without the belt, Leon Edwards is nothing. He's boring. He's not entertaining in or outside of the octagon. He's a good fighter, yes, but he's low output, boring, like not personable. He's just a good fighter, and I'm not ready to give him a more favorable matchup. We have a guy in Sean Brady who is somehow tied with JDM here. Stop it. JDM finished Burns. Sean Brady took him to a decision, and as impressive as it was, I don't like that. This makes me feel like they're setting up this fight, which I don't want. Dude, obviously I want fucking the best for Jack Della Maddalena. Everybody loves JDM. But I think the fights to make is JDM versus Usman, Brady versus Edwards. You have Shavkat versus Ian Gary. Now you have Colby versus Buckley. This is going to actually set up the names in the top 5 that are top 7 or 8 that actually deserve to be there. Gilbert Burns can look at who do I want Gilbert Burns to fight, man? Because I want to give Gilbert Burns a favorable matchup too, so we can get in the win column again, just because all my homies love Gilbert Burns. But you can honestly do like a Pratis versus, I know it's MVP versus Shara, so he's going to have to get out of there at some point. And you have Luque versus Themba, but you can do like a Pratis versus like a Jeff Neal, a Michael Morales versus Gilbert Burns. Wonder Boy's going to have to fight someone down below in the rankings too. So there's a lot of things you can do at welterweight, but setting up these two fights, this and then the Joaquin Buckley fight, that really sets up the rest of the division to actually start getting welterweight moving again, because not only are we making welterweight great again, but we're making America move forward again making welterweight move forward again, because I feel like it's kind of been stalled out with like the Usman rematches, and then we get Bilal and Leon just waiting to fight for so long because Leon's so fucking inactive. Now Bilal, people are going to go, dude, he's already ducking. Bro, you saw his toe. Like, he can't go into a fight with that. He just can't. He's going to lose if he does. Probably going to lose if he does. Whereas I actually think he has a really good chance against Shavkat, and I bet he thinks so too. Bilal's going to fight the winner of this, I believe. But now you get to get the rest of the welterweight division moving. You have those other big fights that the winners of those, because like if the winner of Colby versus Buckley is going to need one more fight, I believe personally, to get to the title. And then like a JDM versus Brady, the winner of that's going to be looking at a title shot. Or JDM versus Usman's going to be looking at a title shot. Brady is going to be mixed in there somewhere. But now you get to start like moving the names around and see, all right, now we're going to give it to the guy with the most hype, most impressive finishes. And that's kind of why Rachmanov's in the spot that he is. Because, listen, like you can say like his resume is not that impressive all you want, but he does finish everybody. So it does matter. That does matter in terms of getting a shot. Now you're going to be able to move the division along a little bit and see who's getting finishes, who are the fans talking about, who do they want to see, and who really deserves it. I think JDM's one of those names. I think Sean Brady's going to be one of those names. So keep an eye out for that. There was one other fight that I did want to talk about, and it was Brendan Allen versus Anthony Hernandez. I'm going to find it. Nina, I fucking hate Nina, dude. She's literally fucking ruining young men's minds. Fucking slut. I don't know if I can say that on YouTube, but I just did, so it is what it is. Brendan Allen versus Anthony Hernandez. This is a sick fight. I'm going to go with Anthony Hernandez because, like, how can you not? I think Brendan Allen is a tremendous grappler. I think he's a tremendous all-around fighter, but he keeps having these moments in the octagon where, like, he can get takedowns and get the back so easy, but he just doesn't do it. Like in the first fight, like the first round against Imavov, he dominated Imavov and then just kind of, like, sprawled terrible takedowns. Or just spammed, terrible takedowns and lost himself the fight. I get it. Like, the French commission kind of fucked him over. He fucked Moicano over, too, and Moicano went out there and beat the shit out of BSD, so... But I get it. Imavov's higher level comp than BSD is in terms of comparison. So I get that. And I like Brendan Allen too. I think he's a very good fighter, but I think this is a really, really difficult fight for him. I think that Anthony Hernandez is going to be able to find a way to out-grapple and outpace him. And I can just see... I don't know if this is a main event. This guy's also a fucking dumbass. I think he meant to say Apex. They're never getting out of fight nights at this point. Of course not. Every card is not going to... I'm not paying for every fucking card I see, so fuck off. But I think he meant Apex. Fight nights because fluff. Oh! He meant the fighters are never getting off fight nights. Okay. That's fair. They won't be until they start really fighting for the title. But, I don't know. Set for a UFC fight night on February 22nd. Expected to be in Seattle on February 22nd. That's a sick fight. Love that they're going in front of a crowd. Seattle, not based, but it is what it is. Seattle's a little weird. But let's see what else people had to say. Is this 5 rounds? I really don't know. Giving an easy path for Hernandez, bro. Guy gets Kopylov, who everyone was firing up, who didn't look easy because looked easy because Hernandez is the one that fought him. Gets Michel Pereira, who is a very difficult matchup because he can knock you out at any moment in the first 5 minutes. That's not an easy fight. And then he gets Brendan Allen, who's a very well-rounded guy. That's not an easy fight as well. Like, do you want to just give him to, like, Hamzat or Bo right now? I actually think Bo and Anthony Hernandez would be a good fight. But this guy said it right. The grappling in this fight's going to be crazy. I gotta think I'm gonna give this to Anthony Hernandez. People are saying it's gonna be easy. I don't think it is. Really don't think this is gonna be easy. I don't know if this is 5 rounds though. If this does scream like if this is gonna be on a fight night card, I find it difficult to believe that they're gonna have a higher ranked fight above this, especially even at like a higher weight class because they like to put middleweights as the main events. I think it's gonna be a main event, 5 rounds. This is gonna be sick. Finally going to see how it works for Anthony Hernandez with someone like really trying to give him the business for the whole fight. So we'll see. But these are the main event or the fight announcement updates. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like and subscribe. UFC, man. We're so back with the good events. We're going in front of crowds again. We are so back. Let's go, baby. December 7th is the UFC 310 card. Cannot wait for that. But if I don't hear from you guys sooner, have a happy Thanksgiving. Love you all.